Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock. Cowherd is off today. Coming up, I'll tell you why Lamar Jackson bombing the Wonderlic isn't a big deal and why Gronk's days in New England are coming to an end. Speaking for Yourself starts now. Ow! It's Friday. All right, we begin today in Oakland, where Warrior star Kevin Durant extended his lead in NBA ejections. Yep, in the final seconds of the first half, in his first game back in the lineup after 2 weeks, Durant got himself tossed, arguing a no call. Durant was so incensed the referee Trey Maddox missed a foul as Durant drove the lane that Durant quit playing and turned his full attention to profanely berating Maddox. In a matter of seconds, Maddox teed Durant twice and booted him from the game. The Warriors subsequently lost for the third straight time and the seventh time out of their last 10 games.
I got thrown out the basketball game, man. I wish I didn't. I wanted to play. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry, but I wish I could finish the game. But come on, man.
All right, Thursday's contest marked the fifth time Durant has been ejected this season. That's twice more than his infamous hothead teammate, Draymond Green. Since the 1991-92 season, only Rasheed Wallace has been ejected more times in a single season than Kevin Durant. Kevin, baby boy Durant, has changed, and not for the better. The kid who made us all cry with his iconic MVP speech celebrating his mother.
We wasn't supposed to be here. You made us believe you the real MVP.
Has morphed into a whiny, petulant, erratic Hollywood child star gone bad.
What you talking about, Whitlock?
We're talking about a potential Gary Coleman situation. Lindsay Lohan, Macaulay Culkin, Justin Bieber, it's all on the table. Kevin Durant can't handle being an NBA superstar. He's not built for it. There's really no shame in that because he's not alone. The dynamics of professional sports culture have changed so drastically in the last 20 years that we're going to start seeing a lot more basketball stars gone bad. The NBA is the sports league most like Hollywood. The players become YouTube stars as early as 6th and 7th grade. They become famous as teenage prospects. They become filthy rich at 19 and 20 years old. They exist in the social media fishbowl and are under intense pressure to be more than athletes. The social justice media demands they act as world leaders on complex issues. Kevin Durant simply can't handle it. He's melting down right before our eyes. It started with the tattoos of Rick James and Tupac Shakur on his body. He flubbed his exit from OKC so badly that he created fake social media accounts to defend himself. Now he wants to be the bad boy of basketball, a sharp-shooting, quick-tempered Draymond Green, bickering with the refs and bloggers. Go listen to his most recent 3-hour podcast interview with Bill Simmons. Let that sink in. 3-hour podcast interview. It's a 3-hour cry for help. He goes to great lengths to explain he's not a superstar and he's a normal person. He makes his point by explaining that Taco Bell gave him diarrhea. He says he'd vote for Dave Chappelle for president. He constantly referenced how much money he makes. He came off as tipsy from the wine that he and Simmons and Durant's chaperone, Rich Kleiman, seemed to be guzzling. Kevin Durant is the NBA child star gone bad, and he won't be home alone. All right, joining me now is Reggie Bush, Dante Jones, and Danny Cannell. Guys, I say Kevin Durant can't handle being a superstar. Tell me I'm wrong.
I'm not going to say he can't handle being a superstar just because he gets thrown out of the game for ejections. Now, with that said, he can have more awareness to the situation, right? Steve Kerr already came out and said that we can beat anybody without Steph Curry. So who is he referring to? He's referring to Kevin Durant because he knows that Kevin Durant can make up for what they're lacking in not having in Steph Curry. But listen, they had no Klay Thompson. They had no Steph Curry out there. Draymond was banged up.
You're reducing it to one game, Reggie. The guy's been thrown out more than anybody in the league this year. Only Rasheed Wallace in the last 30 years has been thrown out of NBA games more than Kevin Durant. This is a different Kevin Durant.
I don't think he understands what he signed up for with signing with this team. And what I mean by that is I have a lot of respect for the champions that have repeated in the past before. Because once you're a champion, you're the highlight of everyone's schedule. That's 82 games of being the person that it's the best game on our schedule. It's the holiday of my schedule, and they're going to give you your best. They're 100%, they're 110%. And with that is the pressure to perform and be on that level every night. Not just perform and be good, but be knocked off every night. And I don't think he signed up for that pressure and trying to repeat again, all that's getting to him at this point in time.
What's crazy is he's letting this pressure get to him, and he doesn't even have the most pressure in the NBA. That goes to LeBron. So he's kind of flown under the radar, where there was an OKC, where it was a very light market, where when they called him Mr. Unreliable with a headline, he got all upset and people were apologizing to him, and it's, the fans go to bat for him. So much so that he can't stand the media. A couple years ago at the All-Star Games doing interviews, and he's saying, you guys don't know bleep, and tell him you guys don't know anything about the game. A similar theme that carried over on the Simmons podcast, calling out the media members. I don't know what the solution is here, though. Where does he grow up? Because he's getting to a point now where he's got championships. You go back and look at the insecurity with the shoes, when he made the shoes with all the haters' comments on it. Like, all of this, it doesn't make any sense because he should be one of the most secure guys as the second best player in the world.
I think this issue that I'm talking about is most acute in basketball because the players become stars really early. But Reggie, you went through this from being out here on the West Coast. You become this huge star at USC. The next thing you know, you're in the NFL. You're dating a Kardashian. Seriously, it's a lot for young people to handle. And I just think Kevin Durant, he just can't deal with it.
Well, I think when he went to the team, when he went to Golden State, he said, I'm going with Klay Thompson. I got Steph Curry there. I got Draymond. I got a team of guys to where all the pressure isn't on me. But now that guys are getting injured, guys are banged up. We saw Iguodala went out in the third quarter, so which really says that they really need him more now than ever, and there's a lot more pressure on him right now because of that. And I'm just not sure, like you said, he was ready for this situation. He was ready to go to Golden State with all those pieces around him. Now that all those guys are banged up, all the pressure's on him right now.
I think you have to have a reverence for LeBron and how he's accepted all this responsibility that comes with winning and winning championships and being the best player in the NBA. We were so eager to give him the crown, Kevin Durant, the crown once he won a championship. But there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that crown. And that's to be the focal point for your team on a nightly basis. His talent says, yes, he's the number 2 player in the NBA. But can he hold that much responsibility of being the number 2 player in the NBA? Only his talent does. His responsibility, his attitude hasn't yet.
Reggie, I'm going to come back at you. You go from an 18-year-old high school kid, 19, 20 in college, people know you but don't really know you, to just a few years later, paparazzi following Reggie Bush around. Paparazzi interested in your private life. That's a big how did you handle that? And again, I look at all these athletes on Durant's level and all this. I just think it's so much focus and so much attention. Guys are going to start melting the way I see Kevin Durant.
Well, it's just it goes to your character, right? Like, how do you handle those tough times? How do you handle those things that go on in your life, the private life? How do you handle that? And for me, the best way I could handle it was just to lean on the people closest to me, right? So whether it was my mom or my dad or my brothers or my best friends, and just trying to make sure, one, that my circle was small, and two, that I always at least had a no man around me, right? Like, instead of, a lot of these guys, they have a lot of yes men around them, right? So because of who they are, because they got a lot of money, because they're at the top of their game. But I always tried to make sure I had at least one no man around me to always keep me in line.
You know what the game changer is, though? And you hit on it. I think it's a really astute point. I struggled to make it as a professional just as it was. But social media, I would have crumbled under the pressure, the criticism, the constant negativity. Like, if I was somebody talking to Kevin Durant, I would say, you have got to insulate. Instead of having burner accounts, I would stay away from Twitter altogether. Why? And I think you're seeing it. And I think, it's easy for us to sit here, especially for me. I didn't play in the social media era to say these guys are soft. Like, they got to be able to handle some criticism. But it is constant. When I was, playing, you could turn off the TV or you could throw the newspaper to the side. You didn't have to read it. Now you're getting notifications. Your boys are texting you saying, I can't believe this guy said this about you. You better have thick skin. And Kevin Durant has shown he doesn't have his skin is as thin as it gets. Like, every little thing gets to him, and he's got to get past that.
I'm not sure if his skin is that thick as much or thin as much it is. He doesn't like fame. That's what I think I'm hearing from the podcast interview and everything he's doing. I'm just a normal person.
Yeah.
I eat Taco Bell and I get sick to my stomach like you. Quit treating me like I'm somebody special. And again, that's why I say I hear it as a cry for help. He doesn't like being famous or this level of fame that we have in modern culture today. And to some degree, I don't blame him.
And that's what I was going to say. I can understand that part of not liking fame. Most people want to be famous in this era of social media, and it's not for everyone. Just because I'm great at something and I have a talent and I work hard at something doesn't mean I want to be famous, doesn't want to be in the eye of scrutiny. So I understand him on that point, and I respect him for saying this instead of just acting out. However, he's a work in progress, like we all are here. So to have this scrutiny and to say that, yeah, he's a baby, and I think that he has to improve. And he's seeing right now the area in life that he has to improve on the most. He has his skills. He has a championship under his belt. He has certain things taken care of. But this is the one area he has to improve his own court persona and the way he's responding to adversity.
And that's where Steve Kerr has to earn his paycheck, because he's a guy who played with MJ, who saw it firsthand with a player similar. He's got to somehow help him through this process because he's a guy who can relate to him.
I'm watching a guy, and this just came to me during this conversation. He would be better off going to Kawhi Leonard, San Antonio Spurs, Tim Duncan route. But he can't because he's trapped by, I want to make all this money, so I got to be this big brand endorser for a shoe company and all that other stuff. But he would be better off. His personality is more Kawhi Leonard, just play the game, don't talk. Tim Duncan, just play the game, don't talk. But
probably would have been better served in OKC if he would have stayed there.
Right, if you'd have stayed in OKC, you wouldn't have to be worrying about this.
But he's stuck with trying to create a brand and create wealth and do something different. And his business mind is catching up with what the responsibilities on the court and as a championship level basketball player in San Francisco is right now. So
but also
he's kind of caught.
Sorry, not to cut you off. Sorry. Also, as much as you may not want the fame, you have to accept it. You have to accept everything that comes along with being Kevin Durant, with the shoe, like you said, the shoes, the money, the superstar play, all that stuff. You have to be able to accept the good with the bad. You can't just show up to work when everything is good, everything is going great, and then the second something goes wrong, then you're that guy that's...
Let me ask you this, though. You've been super famous.
Yeah.
You're still famous. Would you like to go back to being super famous again, or would you prefer less fame?
I would love to go back to the super famous because I understood everything that came along with that role and being in that position, knowing that, listen, you're going to be scrutinized probably more than anybody in this league. And that's something that you have to take with a grain of salt because it doesn't take away from who you are. Basketball is what you do, but it's not who you are. And that's the same thing I try to tell kids whenever I talk to them is that, listen, football is what I did, but it's not who I was. You know what I mean? So, and that's the thing that I think that Kevin Durant can do a better job at understanding.
You just put a target on your back for the Kardashians, man. All right, welcome back. Reggie Bush and Danny Cannell are back. Joining us now is Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson. Let's go to the NFL. You always see it this time of year. Someone always manages to leak the results of the Wonderlic, the test given to NFL draft prospects to measure their cognitive abilities. The results are supposed to be kept private, but they were leaked by former NFL scout John Middlecoff on his podcast 3 and Out. According to Middlecoff, these were the scores for the top quarterback prospects. Wyoming's Josh Allen was the highest scorer with 37 out of 50. Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, and Baker Mayfield scored just above the average for quarterbacks, while Lamar Jackson didn't fare so well. All right, I don't think the Wonderlic scores need to be kept private. People are, this is an invasion of privacy. They're just doing it to embarrass kids. I don't think that's the solution. It's for us to quit taking the Wonderlic scores so seriously.
Yeah.
Again, I don't mind if they come out because, again, quarterbacks and other players have scored all the gamut. Dan Marino, I think, scored a 10 or 11 or something like that.
Right.
He's one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen. Yeah. If we just take the Wonderlic scores for what they are. Some guys score well, some guys don't. It's not a tell-all. To me, the only thing the Wonderlic tells me a lot of times is about a guy's willingness to prepare.
Yeah.
Because you can prepare for the Wonderlic.
Yep.
And the guys that take the time to prepare generally score well.
Yeah.
The guys that lean on their athletic ability, a Dan Marino, my buddy Jeff George, a Lamar Jackson, they just sit back. I'm more talented than everybody else. I don't care about the Wonderlic.
Right.
And they don't prepare. And so that tells you a little something. Whether a guy's smart enough to play football or be a great quarterback, I don't think it tells you that.
Well, I think to your point is again, the Wonderlic. It's unfair to throw the Wonderlic out there in regards to hurting a guy's draft stock, because at this point, everything that these players, these young guys are trying to do is increase the value of their draft stock. So when someone leaks something like this on Lamar Jackson, you don't know completely what the intention is. Is it because you don't like him?
Josh Allen too, though. He leaked it on as many people as
So
he could.
what was the purpose? Was it because you don't like Lamar Jackson, or is it because maybe there's a GM that wants to get him at a cheaper price or something like that? We don't know, but what I do know is that it's unfair to leak the score, the low score, to make him look bad in that respect, and that's just not okay.
Well, first of all, who is the one? Who is Wonderlic? Let's say who is that? who is that person? I mean, to me they just make this stuff up.
Right.
Who cares about this test?
Yeah.
This is a joke, man. I mean, I remember when I took whatever it was called. I don't even call it Wonderlink or whatever.
It wasn't called Wonderlic.
It was something. It was called something. It was probably another
Under
name.
the table
It was probably called the Mustang test. Anyway, because I remember Ron Miles said, "Eric, did you take that test seriously?" I said, "Not really." He said, "Well, you did okay, but I know you." I'm like, "No, I mean," and I don't even think we could even study for that so-called Wonderlink test.
Yeah.
It's all about, can you play football? If you're serious about your craft, you're going to prepare yourself. Yeah. You're going to go out and make preparation. That's what you do. This is a job. This is not a joke anymore. Yeah. So this test, this Wonderlink test, I'd be more concerned about, they get them videos, don't put them videos out there. But this test, no.
We could make a lot of money. We could create a test that actually might predict football IQ and just have some very basic questions in it, like fronts, defenses, secondary, formations. We actually could do that. That would be a novel idea. How about a test that actually matters? Because this is the dumbest way to determine a guy's future in the NFL. I think it's antiquated. I think it is biased towards guys who come from better backgrounds, who are educated better at a younger age, which is unfair to guys like Lamar Jackson. It makes no sense to me why the NFL still carries this process on.
And some guys are just better at taking tests, right? Like, so when I had to take the SAT test, I struggled. I took the ACT, I did well, right? And that, I just think it's unfair to, like you said, to put all the ownership on one test and say this is the reason why you will or won't be successful at the next level.
Again, I go back to when you look at guys that scored low, and again, it goes racial, it doesn't matter. The more talented you are, physically gifted, from the because Jeff George, Dan Marino, as physically gifted at quarterback as anybody that's ever played the game. Vince Young, physically gifted. Lamar, these guys all scored poorly on it. And again, I do think it's an indication of when this young guy comes into our camp, how much is he into preparation? I do think it says something about, because you can prepare for the test. And if you wanted to put a good spin on your football intellect and how seriously you take every part of the football process, you can prepare for this test and score relatively well. And so that's the only thing I read into it. Whether you can play this game or not, whether you're smart or not, doesn't mean anything to me. Are you willing to prepare? That's what it shows me.
But I think when you're talking about getting drafted, you're preparing in other ways other than taking a damn test. You think, I'm not worried about this test. I go and I'm watching film. That's my preparation. Not sitting here asking some dumb questions.
Hold on, right? You want to see?
What's the question?
I'm going to give you an actual question from the Wonderlic. Now they're all varied, but this came from an actual Wonderlic test.
That's not what
you ready?
The questions are.
Some Gobblesteins are Panjanters, and all Panjanters are Gerbelsons. Are some Gobblesteins definitely Gerbelsons?
Without question, they aren't.
See it. He cheated. He prepped.
No, I don't know.
But what does that
What
have
the hell
to
is
do
a
with football?
Garblestein?
Exactly.
What the hell is a Panjanter?
It's a waste of everybody's time.
With reading defenses,
Exactly.
reading
Hey,
coverages,
is that a Garblestein?
hitting the hole, getting the ball out on
It is
time.
the dumbest test you could ever take to determine a guy's
Let me say this, and I'm not trying to beat up on Lamar Jackson, but if he had scored higher on the Wonderlic, he would have been smart enough to go run the 40-yard dash and wow everybody. Play to your strengths, young guy. That's what I would tell him.
That 40's overrated.
All right, welcome back. Reggie Bush and Eric Dickerson are back. Let's talk some football. A big trade rumor coming out of the NFL. A report says the chances are increasing that the Patriots will trade tight end Rob Gronkowski. Quote, Bill Belichick friendly source claims that since Gronk hasn't been all in on committing to another season in New England, Bill Belichick is starting to think about life post Gronkowski. I'm not buying this. And I am buying Greg Bedard, the reporter here. He's one of the best NFL reporters in the country. He's got great connections with the Patriots organization that go all the way up to Belichick and Robert Kraft. But I think the story here is Rob Gronkowski wants out of New England, and they're floating this out there. Because if Gronkowski wanted out of New England and that was well known, his trade value goes down. If Bill Belichick's pushing out the narrative, I'm thinking about moving on from Rob Gronkowski, that keeps his trade value high. I think Gronkowski, like Nate Solder and everybody else, Malcolm Butler, Dion Lewis, everybody else is getting the last helicopters out of Saigon because they're tired of Bill Belichick. They're tired of Bill Belichick. And again, they're tired because what he did in that Super Bowl made no sense to anyone. Yeah. And so Gronk wants out, and Belichick's looking to trade him. And if he ends up in San Francisco, like some of the rumors, Lord help Jimmy Garoppolo, that would be amazing.
Well, listen, the grass ain't always greener on the other side. And I can say in this case,
I can tell you
him
that.
leaving Boston, leaving the Patriots, it's not green on the side because any other quarterback he play with is going to be a drop-off, right? And listen, what's that? When you golf, what's that good grass? They got Bermuda grass? Bermuda grass. The Patriots is Bermuda grass, and everywhere else is the rough over there. So I don't think that he should even think about leaving. He should be focused on how he's going to get back next season, finish his career in New England with Tom Brady, as long as Tom Brady's there. And I truly believe Gronk has maybe, 2-3 years max because he takes such a beating every year. And they're not little injuries. They're concussions, torn, ligaments in your knees, elbows, all kinds of in his back.
Well, I think one thing is, as you said, he has a back problem. And I think, and I like Gronkowski, but I think his better years are behind him. You have a back problem. I have a back problem, and it's nothing to mess around with it because you don't know when it's going to flare up again.
Eric, you're 50-somebody.
I didn't have nobody ask you how old I was. Don't say I'm 29. He's joking. He's joking. Anyway, he still got back. He's had back surgery. I've never had back surgery. Let me tell you something. O.J. said this to me. O.J. Simpson said this on a flight. One of the last times I saw him on a flight. He said to me, Eric, how old are you? I was 33. I was retiring. He said, remember, you remember this. When you get around 50 years old, all those hits going to come back to you. Mm-hmm. And all those hits are going to come back to him. They really are. I mean, look, he's talking about acting. Well, where do we want to act at? Yeah. L.A. I mean, the place for him to come. I mean, and I agree with you. I agree with both. I think that one thing is he's probably like, man, everybody else getting out of here. Maybe I should get out of here too. I mean, the WWE. He wrestles. Yeah. He's becoming Hollywood. I don't think New England is big enough for him anymore. Yeah. And eventually, Tom Brady's going to leave too.
Well, he's going to retire because of it. Yeah. But listen, again, I want to go back to this is about if they had won the Super Bowl, I don't think Rob Gronkowski would be talking this. Because again, winning the Super Bowl was always the payoff for dealing with Bill Belichick and his bullying coaching style.
But they got to the Super Bowl.
No, I get it. But the way they lost, with that selfish, arrogant decision by Bill Belichick, it has pissed off a lot of players, and they're getting out of town, and Rob Gronkowski wants out far more, in my opinion, than Bill Belichick wants to trade him.
But he's always, Bill Belichick has always been this guy. Yeah. When you're winning, it changes everything. You know that. Everybody's happy and everything. I feel like that for him, it may be time to move on. It may be time for him to go someplace else. What better place?
Where's he going to go?
I know
San Francisco and play with Garoppolo.
I think he'd rather come to the West Coast. I think he'd come to the West Coast. I mean, the Rams came up. Now, look, we done drafted 3 tight ends in 3 years. The last one was Gerald Everett. We don't need another tight end, I don't think. I mean, that's my opinion. But, I think eventually, the West Coast is where he really wants to be, not in New England.
What guarantee is it that Garoppolo is going to next year play the same way he did? We've seen this man play 7
When has he not?
games. We've seen him play 7 games.
Oh, you're talking about Garoppolo.
We see. What's the guarantee that if Gronk goes to San Fran, that it's just going to be all peaches and cream?
Understand this. Gronkowski knows Garoppolo a lot more than you do. He got to see him in practice. He got to see him in games. If he wants to go to San Francisco, it's because he believes firmly Garoppolo is as good right now, if not better, than Tom Brady.
Well, he was on second team, but Garoppolo was second, so he didn't see him that much in practice. He didn't see him that much in practice.
However, though, they not. There's no guarantee that they're gonna get to that next level, the playoffs. Right?
There's no guarantee anywhere. I'm telling you.
New England is guaranteed.
There's no guarantee.
It's guaranteed gonna win
Not
the division.
anymore.
I don't think New England is guaranteed. Well,
Not
you know
anymore.
what? Only guarantee New England really has is that weak.
gonna win the division.
That weak division they play. They don't play nobody.
You know, you guarantee
You're gonna win at least 8 games in that division.
I gotta move. Not guaranteed. To the other big trade rumor in the NFL, stories have been swirling about the Rams making a trade to acquire Odell Beckham Jr. from the Giants. Now the New York Daily News is reporting that OBJ is telling Rams players he wants in. Some members of the Rams are openly courting the wide receiver. Todd Gurley said, quote, "If we had him, man, it would be awesome. I'd be happy. Goff will be happy. Coach McVay will be happy. Owner Stan Kroenke, the whole team. We would just be happy. Eric Dickerson would be happy.
I said I'd be happy.
Lawrence McCutcheon would be happy.
I ain't happy.
Isaiah Roberts, Jack Youngblood would
Let
be
me tell you
happy.
what make me happy. Let me just go with it. You don't make me happy?
What?
Pay Aaron Donald first. That would make me happy. Yeah.
Why wasn't you saying that when they signed Ndamukong Suh?
It's a 1-year deal. Pay this. They should have paid this man last year. Pay him. Then if you want to sign him, cool. Pay Aaron Donald first.
First of all, let me give my opinion.
Come on.
OBJ to LA would be a disaster. And it speaks to, as I said earlier in the week, McVay's arrogance. He thinks he can coach any and everybody. He thinks he can get 100 yards out of you, Eric, and you're damn near 60. It couldn't happen.
Why you keep throwing my age out there? I'm 29, man. What's wrong with you?
It's arrogance, and it would be a disaster for OBJ to end up in L.A. He's already Hollywood enough in New York. He would be a fool out here in Los Angeles.
Well, listen, and he also has to understand that Todd Gurley going to get 20, 25 touches.
There you go.
Cooper Kupp going to get about 3 to 5 touches.
Yep.
Robert Woods going to get 5 to 7 touches. So what's left for Odell? He ain't getting them same touches.
In his mind, he is.
In his mind. Look, we had the #1 scoring offense in the National Football League last year. We don't need him. I like him. Don't get me wrong. But we don't need him. We need somebody to stop the run. That's what hurt us last year. We couldn't stop nobody. And who do you sign? Aaron Donald. I'm going to say it again. Sign my man.
Pay that
Aaron.
man.
Pay that man.
Pay that man.
Eric, you were talking tough over Twitter when I made the point about McVay being arrogant.
Let's go back to that too.
Yeah,
It's not arrogant. Look.
All this, bring on OBJ, bring on Ndamukong Suh, bring on Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib. I can coach everybody. I can coach every problem child in the NFL.
It's not about the problem.
That's arrogance, Eric.
That's not arrogance. That's what you believe. Look, you want to get the best players you can possibly have. It's not like, you know what, I'm going to get a guy because he's a good old locker room guy. He lifts the locker. I ain't trying to hear that, but he can't play worth a damn. Right. I need some players out here. Some guys can play. I need some dogs that bite.
Dogs out there.
Fist, dog bites, not dog licks.
Eric, you're scarred. Justifiably, you're scarred.
I'm not scarred.
I grew up in Indianapolis. Eric played for the Colts when they had nobody except for Eric Dickerson. They had a pretty good center, Ray Donaldson. And they had Jack Trudeau or Gary Hogaboom. I can't remember who the quarterbacks were. And so Eric is scarred by that. But
I am scarred. That's the truth.
In reality, Eric, you need a few Eric Dickersons, and then you need the locker room guys. And L.A., the Rams, they have enough. They've added too much to this pot. They already got it with Todd Gurley. They got the tackle, Andrew Whitworth. They got Aaron Donald. They had the pieces. Now, to me, they've just gone overboard and trying to put together an all-star team.
No, they have not. You need.
You ever seen the movie The Longest Yard?
Yes, I have.
That's what y'all trying to put together.
No. Did they win the game?
They did win.
There we go. They won. That's all that counts. You got to have the right pieces in place. Look, I'm with you. I don't think we need Odell. I don't think we need him. But all the other pieces we need. Look, I think Philadelphia won the Super Bowl because of what they had depth on defense. We're not deep. We're not deep enough. No. Our offensive line is good, but we need more play. We're hurting that linebacker. You've got to get those pieces there first. We don't need a receiver. If you say we need Odell, Do you say we need Odell? Yes or no? I agree. I don't think we need Odell because one thing is going to happen. This is going to become a media circus. They're going to be going, boy, I can't wait to get to LA and talk to Odell. I can't wait to get down and talk to Odell.
Do you read your own tweets? You the ringleader of the circus.
I did not say we need Odell. I don't say we need Odell.
Everything else you co-signed for.
I like the Marcus Peters deal. Yeah. I like the Sue deal. I like the Talib. I like all those. And you saying he's not arrogant?
Also, for what he's asking, I don't know if it's worth that. Like, he wants 20
He wants to be the highest paid.
He wants to be the highest paid, bro. Listen, I don't know, especially with all the off the field.
And I want to have a Jerry curl
Eric
again.
was the same way when he played.
Man, no, don't listen to him.
All right, welcome back. Joining me now is former Cleveland Cavalier and NBA champ Dante Jones and the founder of the big league, Jason McIntyre. Let's talk some hoops. There are reports that Cavaliers head coach Tyrone Lue will be rejoining the team tonight, not as coach, but as an observer. Lue has been sidelined for the past 2 weeks due to health issues, and the Cavaliers have gone 5-1 in his absence. Here's LeBron today when asked about Lue's return.
Have you had a conversation with Ty?
I have not. I talked to him a few days when we was on the road trip, but no, not lately.
That was LeBron James talking about Tyrone Lue.
A little short there.
Yeah, a little short. Look, again, I like Tyrone Lue. I've known him since he was a kid. Big fan, supporter. I don't think LeBron James wants Ty Lue as the coach. And, you know, initially the report was he's going to be back in a week. That was several days ago, 2 or 3 games ago. Now he's coming back as an observer, not as the coach. Adrian Wojnarowski's report for ESPN stated the guy was spitting up blood, the pressure and the health. Dante's smiling. You don't buy it? You don't think
No. I think the health issues are something that he has to take care of, don't mind you. But his personality for that team, his leadership for that team, for that group of guys is necessary, and it's going to be a positive more than a negative. I think seeing him struggle and seeing him get his body together and come back and be a part of the team, I think those guys are going to rally around him and his personality. I know firsthand his personality and his leadership with those guys. And they look up to him and they revere him in some capacity. And they enjoy the coaching style that goes on between him and Larry Drew and everybody that's there. Yes,
any of that you say, does that apply to LeBron James?
That was where I was going to.
It does apply to LeBron James because those two have a unique relationship. We see the blow up that happens once a year, but in all families and all people who have to work intensely together through negative and positive situations, you see this. It's never going to be roses. It's never going to be all fun and games. But they respect each other. I know they respect each other. I know LeBron holds a level of respect for Ty, and Ty gives LeBron enough responsibility to be great and do all the things he does on the basketball court. I think they have a unique relationship that I can appreciate, and I know that works.
So you spent time with LeBron, and you know him better than we do, for sure. But I do have to ask, is he not going to be there? The Cavs bringing him back to make him the fall guy. Because, Dante, when they lose in the playoffs, and you know what's coming, whether it's the Eastern Conference or the Finals, they're going to need – stop. They're going to need to blame somebody. And I believe it's going to be Ty Lue. They're not going to blame LeBron James when the Cavs falter in the postseason. They're not going to blame Kevin Love and the rest of the guys. You know, they're renting right now. They barely unpacked their suitcases. I like Ty Lue. I like what he's done, but this is a guy, he can talk all he wants about a new chef and he's on an exercise regimen. Nothing can prepare him for that sideline incident in the playoffs when they're losing to the Raptors in the final minute and LeBron yells at him and it's everywhere on TV and we're talking about it on this show. I just think he's in a bad spot.
It's the same spot that he was in when David Black got fired. And everybody was going to blame him if they don't win a championship. It's the responsibility that comes with being a head coach. It doesn't change. The dynamic does not change whatsoever. He's going to be the fall if they don't win it. And he's not going to get all the credit he deserves if they do win it.
So he's in a no-win situation.
But as a head coach, you're always in a no-win situation. Nothing has changed about this dynamic. He's going to take care of his body. People do not understand how tough it is for an athlete to stop doing what they do. They've specialized in for their whole life and just pick up something else. And they don't have that release of energy. And I think that now he's taken the time to get that under control, learn how to release his stress, because coaching is a big stress on your life. And I think he has been taking care of that. But now he takes care of his body, he comes back more focused, and he gives them a shot.
I just don't know if you can learn all that in a 2-week span.
You can get it under control. You can get your life under control and how you're going to do this rather than just operate in the same way. yes, he was not sleeping. Yes, he was obviously stressed out by the nature of his job. But you take healthcare professionals and they give you a plan to make it work. You take 2 weeks off, you learn how to make your schedule work, and then you proceed with caution. And you do your job in a different fashion. You can take 2 weeks to take care of yourself, and you can perform at a higher level when you come back.
But the problem with all that is there's one thing that is different than it was 2 years ago when he took over for Blatt. LeBron's a free agent in 2 months. And they all know, man, we got to keep LeBron or this ship is sinking. And there's nothing he can do about that. I know he can't control it, but he knows, man, if we lose, LeBron's gone. And I'm gone too.
But
I'm the fall guy.
You don't think about that as a coach.
How can you not?
You cannot, because he's not on this desk and he's thinking game by game how I can win that game. He's not thinking about the future. That's the general management, the president, the organization's responsibility. He's not trying to keep LeBron.
Control what you can control.
You obviously control what you can control, and you try to win each game and prepare for your playoff series one by one. He's not worried about all that.
To a move that some say could change basketball. Five-star recruit Darius Bazley withdrew his commitment to Syracuse in order to go straight into the NBA's developmental league, now called the G League. I love this decision. I think this is the absolute right decision for Bazley, and probably a bunch of other guys are the 10 to 12 guys that are one-and-done kids in college basketball. Why put yourself through a possible FBI investigation or some sort of scandal in college basketball when you can go to the G League, play back? I don't know what they're paying him, 50, 100,000. I don't know.
26,000.
Whatever.
What high as he can make in the G League? I'm just giving you.
Okay, why not do that than risk going to college, getting involved in some scandal? I think this is the right move. You can just play basketball and not be worried about the NCAA and its dumb amateurism system.
I'm torn, but I respect his decision to say that I'm going to go and follow my dream and not do something I don't want to do. Some kids want to play college basketball. Some kids grow up and want to go to Duke. Some kids grow up and want to go to Michigan State, and they want that experience. Some kids just don't want it. And he's not wrong for not being in love with college basketball, but being in love with the NBA. I respect him making a definite decision and not wasting a scholarship and an opportunity for someone else who is going to respect that university and want to be a part of Syracuse University and want to wear that across his chest. However, the beast of the G League is something that has to be respected as well. And it's going to take the right team to insulate him from himself, because he's not taking AAU trips. He's not taking high school trips. He's taking 5 a.m. flights. He's taking back-to-backs in Iowa. He's going to cities he's never heard of before. He's staying at lesser hotels than he probably accepted. Guys his age that usually go to the D League, they're insulated by an NBA organization. They go down for a stint. They don't go down for an entire season. They don't have to fight the responsibility that comes with being in the G League and fighting for your life now. You're playing for your life. You're not just playing basketball. It was fun. It was going to be fun 6 months ago. It was fun to try and win a state championship. Now you're playing for what you're going to become and what you're going to do with the rest of your life, and that's a lot of responsibility for a 17, 18-year-old kid.
I know why you love this, and I always am going to respect a pioneer. I consider myself kind of a pioneer. I started a website, and I end up 5 years later on television. Great. But as Dante said, there are major risks, Whitlock, massive risks. This is a guy going to the G League. He will be fighting against grown men. He's an 18-year-old wiry kid who's going to be going against 25, 26-year-olds. I looked at the All-Star lineup from the G League this year. One guy was a first-round pick. The rest of them undrafted and one second-round pick. These are guys who are hungry. You spent time there, Dante. These guys are going to see him. He's going to be a target. An 18-year-old little kid who thinks he can just go here for a year, make his money, and then jump to the league. I do have some concerns for this kid. I would have personally said I would go international, or I'd go Syracuse, and then I'd go to the NBA.
But there's no definite answer for his decision. So it's going to be negatives with everything he decides to do. He does not want to play college basketball, which is fine. He wants to play in the NBA. He could go overseas or play in the G League. But he's going to have to be focused. He's going to have the right organization to insulate him against the negatives of the situation. And he's going to have to fight the agendas of his teammates. Mm-hmm. People who are in the D League are just thinking about me. They don't want to win a D League championship. They want to get out of the G League and go to the NBA. So that is another hurdle he's going to have to fight with the players of selfishness. Like, it's just different in the G League than it is any other place.
We're thinking of all the negative and the downside, there is a bit, again, some shoe company, and you got to think about
Pros
it,
and cons.
but some shoe company is going to give him some sort of deal.
Yes.
Won't be the mega deal, but it'll be something. So he won't just have the $26,000 of the G League. And some of these top players, Marvin Bagley had gone to the G League. Trust me, Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, somebody would have taken great care of him while he was there. And in terms of that fight, and that fight for survival, if I were an NBA executive listening to you talk about he's going to be facing grown men, it's going to be a fight, and he's going to have to fight through it, that's all positive to me. Iron sharpens iron.
If he gets through.
But if he don't, you found out something beforehand.
And then he cost himself future first-round money.
That's what I'm worried about him.
If he averages 4 points in 20 minutes a game in the G League versus 13 in 30 minutes with Syracuse and they go to the Final Four, what's better exposure? The G League, where he's taking buses and he's never on TV, or Syracuse, where he's on TV once or twice a week?
If he fails in the G League, he's supposed to because of his age. But that's not a fair representation of who he is. It's
all a
scrutiny.
projection.
It's scrutiny that he does not need at this point in time in his life, but it could work. And I'm excited to see how it turns out rather than just judging.
All right, welcome back. Time for last call. Jason McIntyre is here to help me with my Final Four picks. Here's a look at who I'm taking. Let's start with Michigan and Loyola Chicago. The Wolverines are favored by 5.5. I'm going big blue here. After blowing it earlier in the tournament, I faded the Wolverines a few times. Michigan's going to take care of business here and put Sister Jean end her season.
Right. So is this the kind of play where I should take my kids' college tuition and put it on Michigan? Confident?
No.
Really?
College basketball, this tournament's been too unpredictable.
I don't know. Loyola, they got by on 3 basic buzzer beaters. Shots in the final 10 seconds. I think Michigan's got this easily.
All right. And in the other Final Four matchup, Villanova is favored by 5 over Kansas as a Kansas City homer and a Bill Self homer. I'm taking the Jayhawks +5. This is an easy cover. I'm on the Jayhawks on the money line here. This
you got any good
is
Kansas
how you
stories
pay your
from
mortgage.
back in your no?
I got a lot of good
Listen,
Kansas stories.
Villanova 4-0 against the spread in the tournament. Okay, Kansas plays the worst defense left in the field. They give up 76 to Clemson, 79 to Seton Hall. Here's one for you. The Villanova Wildcats are the Golden State Warriors of college basketball right now. 5 guys shoot over 39% from
Best women in the world live in Kansas.